Welcome once again to Art Talk Tuesday. Don't forget, if you're enjoying these videos, you're getting something from them, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can be notified when they're coming out every week. I try to do every Tuesday around noon, noonish, sometimes it's a little bit later, but generally that's pretty consistent. So if you're going to be on the lookout for them, that's when to look. We are continuing today with our discussion of the When We Pray series. We are on the fourth piece of the series. As you can see here, this piece once again is 15 by 25 inches high, 15 inches wide by 25 inches high. Here in this piece, we have a tribute or an acknowledgement to the faith of Islam. So this fourth image is all about Islam. All the symbols are related to Islam, and the imagery is therefore related to Islam. As you can see from the image, this frame is just slightly different. The frame is the same, but the actual format of the piece is slightly different than the other pieces. The other pieces in the series are a little bit more narrow and a little bit more tall. So this piece is closer to a more square format, but it's still a rectangle. And I wanted to do that because this piece is the linchpin in the rest of the pieces. There are a total of 8 pieces, and this fourth piece is right in the middle when I set them up on a gallery wall. So then you have 3 pieces that are more, what do we want to say, horizontal, and then the middle piece, and then you have 3 more pieces that are more horizontal to kind of tie everything out. So that makes a good presentation. So I really appreciate that. Talking about this piece, I want to start off by saying that it is Scratchboard, once again, as we see. Change the format slightly, but this symbol here is not the symbol for Islam. It is a symbol that is associated with Islam. I had many talks with some of my friends who are Islamic about this. Other people used to come into my studio and see this piece, and we had some good discussions. They wanted to make sure that I understood that there is no symbol for Islam. There's no particular symbol for that religion. They have, what do we want to say, a prohibition against images just as there is in Judaism. And so there is no symbol for Islam. However, this symbol in, I believe, the 80s, if I remember correctly, began to be associated with Islam. And if you'll notice, it is also the symbol that is found on the flags of quite a few predominantly Islamic countries. However, that is not the symbol for Islam. Just want to be clear about that. Also, this symbol down here is actually the writing in here, the Arabic basically says Allah or something of that nature. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while, but basically Allah, maybe Allah is supreme, but something of that nature. So that's what this symbol is down here. Also, you can see the figure is prostrate, lying prostrate on the ground, and what would be hopefully facing toward Mecca in an hour or time of prayer. If anybody knows anything about the Islamic faith, you know that there are times for prayer throughout the course of the day. People will go to the temple and they will bow down and pray, and many times you will see that there will be certain prostrations. I don't remember how many, but this whole idea of Muslims rising in the morning, facing toward Mecca, prostrating themselves in prayer. So that's what the figure is doing here, as we can see. Hands are down, head is down. I wouldn't say he was necessarily kissing the hands of the divine, but if you want to interpret it that way, that could be interesting. And you see the hands in this image are doing this. So they're here open. When you see open palms, it's always a symbol of receptivity, also of giving. And so the figure is down upon these open hands of the divine. In this case, it would be of Allah, and prostrating himself into these hands, giving himself over into the hands of the divine, basically devoting himself to the divine, to spirit. And that whole notion of surrender is essential to the spiritual life. You cannot really have an authentic spiritual life without this whole idea of surrender, what that surrender means. Surrender to this acknowledgement that you are not God, that there is powers beyond this realm that are greater than you. This understanding, and also with that surrender is a form of receptivity, because we have to release the ego, that idea that we know what's best, that we know what's better always, and that it's I, me, my, and begin to integrate ourselves into what is beyond us, whatever you want to call that, whether it's Allah, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Nirvana, whatever you want to say it is, the universe, whatever. It's all the same principle here, that we are open and receptive to what? Relationship, first of all. Okay, because we all have free will, so we have to be open and receptive to the relationship before many times we can begin to receive. There's certain things we all get as human beings. The sun is going to shine on each of us. Hopefully our hearts are going to keep beating for the most part every day, things like that. We have the opportunity to acquire food, all these other things. But then if you want the deeper things that come along with, they must be given in relationship. And that means you must devote yourself. You must let go of that self, that I, that me, mine, and begin to open to we, us, them, beyond. Okay, and that's what the spiritual life is about. So this figure here is in that state of surrender in the most, what do we want to say, a most profound way. But one is to get down on the ground and prostrate themselves before what? The divine, before the spirit, to acknowledge that you are greater than I, and I submit my will to you. A lot about the whole idea in the Islamic faith is very much about this whole idea of submission to the will of Allah. I believe the term is inshallah, the will of God or the will of Allah. So this whole idea of submitting oneself to the divine will, trusting and knowing that whatever that will is will ultimately be better for us than anything we could ever have dreamed or imagined for ourselves. So we have to kind of think about that. And that's what this whole image represents for me. And this symbol here, these symbols here, you know, the whole idea about the crescent moon is very prominent in the Islamic faith. We talk about the whole idea of Ramadan. Well, and so that's always around these issues around the moon, lunar calendar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we have in this piece. Spend a lot of time detailing a lot of issues around here in the hands, really trying to make those look as realistic as possible. And then we have these beams of light, divine light, pouring forth, right? Based upon, coming from the divine, based upon this figure's act of submission and devotion to that which is beyond. So hope you enjoyed learning about this piece. The piece is ready and available for sale. The price is $1,500. It's valued at $1,500. Also, there are prints available that you can purchase off my website, damonpowell.com. I believe prints for this piece start about $25, and you can go up from there depending on what you want. So $25 will just get you the basic print with maybe a ½ inch to an inch white mat around it. Then if you want it matted, if you want to get frames, all those type of things, you get printed on wood, all the kind of stuff you can do with it. So if you want to, you could have it sent ready to go to your door, and all you have to do is take it out of the package, put your nail up, and hang it on the wall. So thank you for tuning in this week, and I will see you next week. Peace.